Hi, I'm Claire, and this is my TBR for Space Opera September. As you can tell from the title, Space Opera September is a readathon taking place throughout the month of September with the goal of reading some space opera. It is hosted by Thomas over at SFF 180. I'll leave a link in the description box to his video where he explains all of it. Definitely check that out because there's a lot of really cool theming around this readathon. There's a lot of things you can do as you kind of read more and more books and rank up and everything. You can gain a lot of cool spaceships, which is obviously why I really wanted to do this readathon. And when I say when you read more and more books, another great thing about this readathon is that you basically have to read like 4 or 5 books maximum. It's not like something that's going to take over the entire month if you are someone who read loads and loads of books, and if you're a bit of a slower reader like me, it's a really achievable goal. So let's get started with the challenges. The first challenge is to read a space opera novella, and that unlocks the ship Shuttlecraft, which is your first step on like having a nice big fleet. And of course, for a space opera novella, I had no choice. I had to go with the brand new Becky Chambers, To Be Taught If Fortunate. I bought this when I was over in Dublin for Worldcon, and it's been a trial to not read it before Space Opera September, so I'm really glad to have the opportunity. This is a standalone actually, it's not in the Wayfarer's universe. It is in a universe where instead of terraforming planets to suit human life, humans have decided to change themselves to suit the planets that they are moving to. So that's a really fascinating premise, and I love Becky Chambers' ideas and her writing, and I'll pretty much read anything that she puts out at this point. For the second challenge, you have the choice of 2 options. You can either stay on the straight and narrow and read 2 space operas written by women, or you can go the rebel track, and of course I'm going to do the rebel track because I want to be a space pirate. And the challenge for becoming a space pirate is to read a book by an author in a marginalized group, or featuring a protagonist or main character in a marginalized group. And for this I'm going to be reading Dragon Pearl by Yoon-Ha Lee. This is middle grade space opera, which hopefully will be great for a readathon. I suspect it will read quite quickly. It is about a girl called Min who has fox magic in her family. She can shapeshift and turn into a fox, but her mother wants her and her siblings and all the family to just hide their powers and try to blend into this society, except that her brother goes missing from his posting in the army, and everybody says he deserted, but Min doesn't believe it. So she has to go and look for the Dragon Pearl, which is the thing that the army says her brother deserted to steal. So I'm really excited for this. I got this one like as soon as it came out, and I still haven't had a chance to pick it up, so it's great to have an excuse to pick it up. And for those of you who don't know, Yoon-Ha Lee, the author, is a person of color and also a trans man, so that fits for the challenge of reading an author from a marginalized group, or in this case several marginalized group, because intersectionality is very important. Oh, and I forgot to say, this challenge unlocks the ship Blockade Runner, which sounds like a fun time. The next challenge is to read a space opera published before you were born, and if you do this, you'll unlock the ship Explorer. Now, I spent quite a bit of time looking for a space opera published before the year I was born. Not that I'm like super old, but just like it included a bit more research than some of the other challenges here. What I decided to go with in the end is Shards of Honor by Lewis McMaster Bujold. This is the like first book in the Vorkosigan saga. I think it's like first in chronological order or in second in publication order, or vice versa. In any case, people who've read this series have told me to start with Shards of Honor. It was published in June of 1986, which is before I was born, and it is the one that is all about Cordelia Naismith Vorkosigan. Although I suppose at that point she's just Cordelia Naismith, because I think it's the one where she meets Miles' father? I don't know, but it's the Cordelia one, and I've been told to read the Cordelia one. I've only ever read the one Vorkosigan book, or tried to read the one Vorkosigan book, and that's the one that was nominated for a Hugo for Best Novel like a few years back. It's number 13 in the series. I hated it and DNF'd it in the middle of it. Or rather, it's not that I hated like the book per se, I just really hated the point of view character who was basically a sexist jerk. So I don't know, that was the Captain Vorpatril's one. So hopefully Cordelia is a better main character. I would hope. A lot of people love her, so we'll have to see how that goes. And the final challenge for the Rebel track is to read a book 500 pages or longer. Why must you do these things to us, Thomas? So that unlocks the ship Dreadnought, which, you know, I feel like once I've read a big chunker of a book over 500 pages, I will have deserved that. And for this one, I have two options. What I would like to read, if I can, is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the Spiders in Space book. I have been meaning to try Adrian Tchaikovsky's writing for ages. Most of his books are massive, and so I like look at them and covet them and don't start them. This one is about a future in which humans are moving to other planets, and in preparation for moving to these other planets, they send out basically a package of, like, I don't know, biomatter, something sciencey, to the planet ahead of them to like prepare it for human life. Except that on this particular planet that the story is about, there were a bunch of spiders. All the like science stuff that they send ahead of them makes the spiders super intelligent instead of preparing the planet for human life. So then there's like spiders, intelligent spiders to contend with. Now, I'm not usually afraid of spiders, but I figured just in case I start reading this and it is really bothering me and I'm like, is there something crawling all over me all of a sudden? I should have a reserve 500-page plus book, and that is Musketeer Space by Tansy Rayner Roberts, which is a retelling of the Three Musketeers in Space, which sounds delightful. If you listen to Tansy's podcast Galactic Suburbia, she talks a lot about how much she loves the Musketeers, and for me, a retelling of a classic story like this, like in a whole different genre by somebody who adores the original, is always going to be really, really interesting. I really want somebody to write a Les Mis space opera because I love Les Mis, and I think cyberpunk Les Mis or space opera Les Mis would be so interesting. But my point with Musketeer Space is I think it's going to be a really fun, really quick, really light read despite being super long. So if I run out of time or if the spiders end up bothering me, I have that one on reserve. And with all of these books, I am hoping that I will unlock all the great ships and become a space pirate. But we will have to see about that at the end of September, so I will report back on that. Let me know in the comments below if you are doing Space Opera September, and if you have a TBR somewhere, if that's on Twitter or Instagram or blog post or a YouTube video, please let me know because I'd like to check out other people's TBRs and maybe feel really sad about like how young all of you are and how late you can pick for space operas written before you were born. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.